Oh boy, it's Bok Choy!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Collin again. We're working today in the sales department. Today, we're going to be talking about Bok Choy, also known as Chinese cabbage. Bok Choy is a leafy green that is actually has a bunch of different uses, and we can talk about that in your terrarium. Bok Choy is a intermediate to large size plant. It's quite fibrous, but it does have like that very leafy foliage to it. It is a fairly fast grower, so the plants you're seeing here are only about 2 weeks old. Generally, when you plant Bok Choy, the seeds will germinate anywhere from 3 to 5 days. This plant is an excellent choice for bioactive terrariums in that it is edible. So if you have animals like tortoises or bearded dragons or anything like that, if they do consume the Bok Choy in their tank, it's not going to hurt them or anything like that. Bok Choy is also chock full of vitamin A and vitamin C, and it's full of moisture and dietary fiber, so it's great for your animal's digestive system. It's also, because of its vigorous growth, it's a really good candidate for a terrarium bioactive enclosure because it can really take a beating. Also, if an animal decides to bite off a chunk or anything like that, this plant is super resilient about just growing back new foliage. In fact, you can basically chop all the leaves off of this plant, and as long as the root structure is still intact, it'll regrow all of its foliage.
So they would have to like yank it out by the roots.
You would have to yank it out by the roots. It also can get quite large, so you most likely, and another great option would be if you want to have a separate container of it. This plant is also fabulous for like patios, or if you have like an indoor plant, as long as you have sufficient light. It likes bright to moderate light. As long as you have sufficient light, or you can put it on a container in a patio. It does love moist soil. It also likes rich soil. So what we have it in here is just a it's a mix, but this stuff is pretty fibrous, and it's got some pumice mixed into it, so it's got good drainage. But in fact, the way that I water all these is I'll usually pour water into the bottom of the tray, and then it'll soak through the bottom of the tray. They will also do well. We do spray the foliage as well, and that can prevent them from getting a little bit too light burned or a little crispy if you have them under really intense lighting. As part of your omnivorous or herbivorous reptiles diet, I do recommend Bok Choy. However, it is something I would only recommend feeding, maybe like once a week. It's not something you're going to want to feed to them every day. Bok Choy can be classified as what's called goitrogenic, which means it can suppress your animal's thyroid if they consume too much of it. So once a week is good, or if it consumes some in its tank, it's fine, but I wouldn't feed it like Bok Choy on a plate every single day, especially if you're feeding it from, grabbing or harvesting it from a container in your garden or whatever. It's great as part of a balanced diet, but variety is definitely the spice of life, so we recommend using Bok Choy in conjunction with other greens like collard, turnip, and mustard to really round out your animal's nutritional profile.